So how do you deal with this pandemic situation? How are you?
Well, I'm worried, like all of us, and somehow scared of many things, of getting infected. Not necessarily about myself. I still hope that I'm young and quite healthy, although I'm asthmatic a little bit. So I try to protect, but I'm afraid of what could happen to more vulnerable persons close to me or in my family. And yeah, it's not easy, like for everybody. I think on the other hand, I try to work, so I managed to film in September a new feature film and one
Oh,
short,
wow.
using masks all the time and respecting all the regulations, and we didn't get infected. Nobody from the crew, after 1 month of shooting, even more, we were not infected. We tested regularly everybody, but it was complicated, and I'm now trying to finish the post production of that film.
Oh, so this is a new feature film.
It's a new feature film, yes.
Wow.
And well, the future doesn't look bright at all for none of us. I think professionally, I mean, the economic crisis will follow for sure very soon, and in our profession, the signs are already here. I mean, the film center doesn't have any money at all. They canceled the financing for the new session of financing, so it's gonna be really bad.
Hmm. And can you talk about your new film, or is it still a secret?
No, no, it's never secret. It's a film which is a contemporary film, a mixture of fiction and essay film, a film split in three parts, and it deals, if you want, it's not a film about something, it's more a film around something, I like to say. And this something, it's a porn video, an amateur porn video of a teacher that ends up on the internet.
Oh,
And it's a film about what's the connection between our private lives, intimacy, sexuality, morality, society, all this kind of stuff.
hmm. Tough, tough, tough topic.
It's a comedy. I like.
Is it a comedy?
I think so.
Yeah. Oh,
Partially. Yeah.
okay.
It's called in Romanian. It's called Babardeală cu bucluc sau Porno Balamuc, and in the English title is Bad Luck Banging or Loony Porn.
Okay.
So and it has a second title called A Sketch for a Popular Film.
Uh-huh. And what is the essay part in the film?
Oh, well, the part is split. The film is split in three parts. One part is like a walk in the city of the main character. The second part, which is a little bit more essayistical, is like a dictionary, audio-visual dictionary of a playful dictionary of themes and things from the film. And this is the essayistical part of ideas. It's more related to ideas, to ideologies, politics, ideas, the ideological context of the story. And the third part is like a sitcom, like a bad trash TV sitcom
Oh,
style. So yeah,
cool.
I don't know. I hope it is. Maybe it's bad.
Yeah. I just saw the day before yesterday this I do not care if we go down in history as barbarians, and I really like that stylistic switch when at the end you shoot it like a TV.
TV recording. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm interested a little bit in the representations and problems of representation. So that was the idea here. That was the idea also in the new film in a different way, I think. Yeah.
So I don't know if you know the every year our festival has a topic, central topic, and this year the topic is community.
Mhm.
And I would like to ask you what things come into your mind when you think of community, and what does community mean to you?
Oh, I think it's a good question, and I'm not sure I'm able to answer because on one hand I'm let's say very interested in being. I think there's always a tension between being an individual and living in a community, and it's always a tension, some tensions there, and they are impossible not to appear because on one hand, personally, and I think everybody else is more or less the same. I want a certain amount of freedom, of individual freedom, of rights. But on the other hand, you cannot have this and you cannot have a life and you don't exist as a human being without a community. There is a book of Tsvetan Todorov. I forgot the name, the title right now, which speaks about how the individual is shaped in a way. Actually, it's more a book about a couple, about living in a couple, living with somebody, living with others. And this is, of course, crucial. And I think one cannot be 100% individual and one cannot be 100% collectivist being, so to speak. And I really think that these things are one of the crucial problems of our contemporary society, and they really should be negotiated all the time. And and you see this. I think it's always important to see how a society treats its sexual minorities, because it's a sign of how much space is for individual rights in that community. And I'm worried. I mean, we had two years ago, as you probably know, a referendum against gay rights, basically, in Romania. It was euphemistically called referendum for the family, but it was actually against gay rights. And in Hungary, we know how difficult the situation is.
It's right now happening.
It's happening, yeah. It's terrible, I think. And I really think we should. I really believe in that old idea that you have the rights and you have liberties, but your liberty shouldn't interfere with the liberty of another person. And I think this should be in my opinion, the basis of the relationship with the people in the society. I just had with the community. I just had today a really bad fight with somebody on the street because if you've been to Bucharest, but I think in Cluj as well, a lot of people park the cars on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
The sidewalk is anyway very tiny. It's for the people to walk on it, and somebody put it in. And I was in the morning, and somebody with a big car just parked it like that, blocking all the sidewalk. And I said, "Look, but move your car." And of course, we were almost insulting each other, and it was a real fight. And I really think that man, how can I relate to that guy? He's part of our community, but I really think I respect his freedom to drive his car on the street, although it pollutes us. But of course, now he has this right according to the law. Why doesn't he respect my right to walk on the sidewalk? You see, so I really think it's very important and to respect the other people's rights. But well, maybe it's just a cliche of what I'm saying, but I try to act like that and to think like that.
Yeah. And in a smaller circle or a smaller meaning of community, how do you live your community part, or your community desire to be part of the community?
Well, I'm someone, I'm reluctant to talk about because if I'm saying, look, I have a family and I love my children so much, usually this kind of thoughts and this kind of feelings sometimes are used by other people, like we spoke before, in order to say, look how this how important is to have kids, to have families. So we should punish the ones who don't want to have families or to have kids, or who are not, who are, I don't know, have other sexual preferences and so on and so forth. And I think it's really getting to that. So I'm using, for me, a family and the most close people to me means not my blood related relatives. With some of them I don't even have a connection. Means well, the people I love and the people I accept me as I am, or principally as I am, generally as I am, and I accept them as they are. So it's my partner, it's the kids, it's some friends. I really believe my friends. I don't have many friends. I have a few friends, but I believe strong in them. They are part of my community. They're part of my family, and all in the same time, I feel I would like to, but I don't have. I always dreamed of having a community of filmmakers working together, sharing together informations, helping each other, and it never happened. I think our way of, but even in the history of film, it happened very a little bit with the French New Wave, a little bit with neo-realists for a few years, and then it's gone. Maybe some communities which are on the margins, they go together, like some experimental filmmakers in the United States, like, I don't know. But this is something I really miss. And I really think that my level, maybe other people's level as well, my level would be much higher, artistically speaking, and also maybe humanly speaking, if we would have a community of filmmakers.
Okay.
But I don't have that.
Mm.
It's,
and do you think the pandemic situation will change anything about our selves being in communities, or our relationships with each other, in like smaller scales or in larger, like in society, as society?
Well, yeah, but I'm one of those people that believes that this pandemic changed the things to worse. It makes the things, at least this is what I'm noticing now. It makes it makes us a little bit even more egotistical than before. It makes us I don't know, because we are afraid. We become also afraid of others, and it's even here again. You can see how people are. You know, if I'm going in a supermarket, I wear a mask, and I wear a mask not only for me, as the law says, you have to protect yourself and so on, but in order to protect the others. And you can see a lot of people that don't care about the others, and I really think that this is a bad sign, because of course it's not even in the film. You know, I shot this film this summer, and me and Ada Solomon, the producer, had a discussion with all the crew and said, look, we are going to have these masks on our face all the time when we are together, when we are shooting, in the breaks, and so on and so forth. If somebody doesn't want to have this mask on, no problem, we can understand, they can go home. But we have to have it in order to protect the others. And you can imagine that in the second day already some people were like that. And I really had some fights with them. I said, look, man, but put the fucking mask on. If you, I mean, it's a sign of if I'm staying with it, and it's not easy, and it was very hot outside. If the others are doing it, if young people, if old people are doing, why can't you, 30 years old idiot, cannot have the mask on your face? You know.
Yeah.
I think that this shows very much the egotistical, and the fact that people are trained not to care about the others, but only about themselves, even if they infect the others, and the others can, I don't know, get sick, or somebody from their family can get sick and die. That's the thing. And regarding cinema, I think it was the perfect excuse for many institutions, from financing institutions, distribution, which of course has a lot of problem, festivals, even to try for more commercial work. So people are using the pandemic as an excuse. They say, well, we cannot finance this film or distribute this film. This is not the moment. We now want only commercial thing. And I really believe that the commercialization of cinema is not something to be desired. I don't have anything against commercial films. I'm not having anything against popular films. I'm having something against to be mandatory to do only one type of film. And the fact that the things look more and more bad, and the obsession for being commercial is more and more powerful. So I don't know. I see a lot of bad things.
And what gives you hope?
Well, I don't know. I'm not desperate. No, I still think that from an economical point of view, there is the possibility to make the things work after we hope this will end little by little, and maybe, but to make them work, sometimes people say we want to get back to normal, but of course it wasn't normal. It was still a lot of problems in the world which will never end, for sure. But still some economic problems, inequalities and so on already was full of that. The system of education was terrible, and I have 2 kids, so I know what I'm speaking about. So I don't know. I think I like life. I like to live, and I like what I'm doing. That gives me hope. It's very egotistical from my part as well, very narcissistical in a way.
I saw the short film that you made, like a short essay, auto portrait kind of film, where you ended with a Tolstoy citation from Tolstoy, that spring is still spring, or
yeah. Despite the fact that the people try to destroy everything, the nature and so on, spring was still spring, and the flowers appeared. What? I'm not sure anymore it's gonna be like that,
No,
I don't know.
okay.
All this pollution, I don't know. I don't even have so much hope as you asked now, if I'm thinking really. But you can live. You don't need so much hope in order to live. I think you can live without too much hope.
Yeah, you showed that there was the picture with the toilets, where in the toilet their plants are still growing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, that was a kind of very short film which I done myself with a mobile phone, because it was asked by CDF, by Arte, and they couldn't come because it was just the beginning of the lockdown. Just I filmed it one day before the lockdown started, and so they couldn't come. So they said, "Do something for us, please." And I said, "Okay." So I did it in one day, like that.
Okay. Many directors start their careers doing short films, but most of them stop doing them after doing their first feature film. And our festival is used to be a amateur festival for a long time. Now it's not exclusively for amateurs, but it's basically still a short film festival. And you still do short films. And what is there any kind of why do you still do short films? And what is that short films give you that feature films don't, as a creator?
Well, hard to answer. In the short film that you mentioned, the self-portrait, they sent me a list of questions to answer, and one of the question was your question, and I avoided by giving a Zen master quote saying that in the nature, in the vegetal nature, I don't know, in the vegetation, how you call it, some branches in a tree, some branches are long, some branches are short, and they all go together. But to try to reflect more about it, I think that of course there are different things you can do in a short format be it in literature, in music, in film, in theater, whatever. And you can do some things and you cannot do others in another time frame. So what you can do in 10 minutes you cannot do in 2 hours, and what you can do in 2 hours you cannot do in 10 minutes. But what's for me important is not to have a career, as they say, to make one film and have a success and make another film and be more successful and so on and so forth, and make bigger budgets. That's one way of having a professional cinema life, but I'm interested in trying to express, trying to analyze, trying to research things as much as I can according to what I'm interested in. And in some cases, for instance, I've done a new short film which I haven't edited yet. I shot it also in September, which is actually about toys. It's like I can show it to you some stills because I have it. It was the idea to analyze what's the politics, what's the philosophy, what's if you see the toys, and if you put the toys in different mise en scène, in different stage, what you see, how you can analyze the world of toys. So I made a film with images like that, you can see here, trying to say what you can see with a camera. And this is, of course, I don't know how long it will be, the film, but I'm not sure that a film like that can be 2 hours long. It can be, and the toys are not moving necessarily in the film. It will be a short film because it's not a big analysis of the world of toys. It's a small analysis, but I really still think it's important, and for me at least, and I could do it using this format. And even for the financing, I could secure a very small financing for the film center, but if I would go to Eurimage saying I want to make a 3-hour or 2-hour film just filming some toys in some positions, they would say, no, this is not possible. So I really think that the world of short films, in the world of short films is more freedom than in the world of feature films or feature documentaries. And I'm more and more interested in freedom and being a free filmmaker, which doesn't mean a good filmmaker. There is an interesting quote of I think it was Rossellini, who saw the last film of Chaplin, I think A King in New York. And somebody said to Rossellini, what do you think of the film? Isn't it true that it's not a good film? And Rossellini apparently answered, yeah, well, it's not a good film, but it's the film of a free man. And I think this is beautiful. And I think this is something I try to achieve in a way. Maybe I don't make good films, but I try to be the expression of a free investigation, of a free research, of a free flow of ideas about cinema. That's it.
Yeah, actually, my head teacher here in Budapest in the masters was Ildikó Enyedi. Maybe I don't know if you know her.
It's in my 20th century.
Yeah, that was her first feature.
Yeah,
and I think the main thing that she always tried to teach us was this search for freedom in a way that is not narcissistic. Like in some movies, you can see that the creator wants to show his or her freedom, or be very like narcissistic about the freedom. And what she always taught, and that I like a lot in her attitude and in her movies, that it always getting outside of the box of this predetermined box, but in a really, the real freedom comes from from this search and not from trying to show to be free.
Well, yes, in a way, because I think this is according to the way you think of what cinema is. In a recent interview, the Argentinian filmmaker, which I really admire, Lucrecia Martel, she made a film last year or one year, 2 years ago called Zama, and her previous film was, I think, 10 years before that. And she said, look, I don't understand the filmmakers who make one film every year or two films every year. Do they have so many things to share, to say, and so on? And that because I try to do the opposite. I try to make as many films as possible. These things put me a little bit back because I said, yeah, well, maybe she's right. Do I have so many things to say? And of course, I think the opposite is true. If you have one thing to say, then you say it. But I don't have things to say. I have more things to research, more things to talk about, to touch, in a way. So I think this is I don't know if it's important, but if cinema is important, I think it's important in order to be a kind of a research tool for life, for reality, for society. Like you have a microscope and you can look inside the things, and you have a camera and editing, and you can look at the world around with it. And why use it only one every 10 years?
Yeah. You have a lot of films that deal with history. Can you talk a little about your approach to history and how do you relate to historical events, and how do you try to write it and film it?
Look, I think only a part of what you say is true when you, in a way you say, and I think, well, of course, it's justified. Say you made films about and you are interested in history. And I could answer, I'm not interested in history at all. I'm interested in the relation between the present and the past of our society, actually. Romanian society or European society, East European society at large. Because I wouldn't make, when people say I'm interested in history, that means I'm interested in kings, a voivode, but I'm interested in history in order to find some signs for the future of that history, of that past, which means for today, for nowadays. So I would never make a film regarding the past which is not connected with the present time in a way. I was thinking, in one of my projects, which I don't know if I will ever make it. I want to make a film in two parts, to make one part myself and another Hungarian director, about how Romanian army entered Budapest in 1919 to destroy Bela Kun's revolution, and how in 1940 the Hungarian army entered the north part of Transylvania. And I would do the first part, and I would invite the Hungarian director to do the second part. And I was thinking that, why to do a film like that? It's about history, but when in Valea Uzului or Uzvolgi, what's the Hungarian name, last year, some Romanian ethnics clashed with Hungarian ethnics over some graveyard of army from the First World War or something like that. I think this shows how these wounds are not if they are not talked about, if they are not really discussed and really closed, they appear again and again and again. So I think this is the reason I've done films about the slavery, the relation with about the origins of the Romanian racism against Roma population, which is in the slavery of the Roma, or about the way Romania treated its ethnic minorities, the massacre against the Jewish population especially. And I did that only because I found resonance in the present time, and because and also I did it from the Romanian perspective, the perspective of the majority. I'm Romanian, I'm not Jewish, I'm not Roma. So I did it because I belong to a community, as you said before, and this community, our society is defining itself not only by what it is now or by a language or a territory, but also by a history. The identity is constructed by the past, using the past. And I want this past, I see that this past has a lot of dark spots, which are, they are hidden because they are relevant for today. Otherwise, nobody would hide. No, if there would be a problem today, nobody would say, well, Romania took part in Holocaust. No, nobody would say that, and it's hidden because it's important. So if it's hidden, I don't want it to I want to talk about it and to research it with a camera, with editing, with cinema, so to speak.
Our festival is organized by a kind of a Jesuit community whose aim is in a partly to be a bridge between the institutional church and the culture, and this festival is a kind of a bridge like that. And I would like to ask you whether, like, what connection do you have either to the like institutional church or to the personal faith, or what can you tell about this?
Oh, not much, because my personal faith is too complicated, and I would say that I have a need for spirituality, or I'm thinking of spirituality in the way that Wittgenstein used to say at some point, that he believed that the world itself, the existence of the world, is mystical, which would be closer nowadays to a New Ageist perspective or to a Buddhist perspective, and I'm closer to that than to my religion, which is Orthodox Christian. I'm more interested in seeing, because basically I'm an atheist. Otherwise, I'm not a believer, although I would like to be one. I think, and it's something that Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who was in the concentration camp in Auschwitz-Monowitz, talked about, that the people who really have a strong belief in something are better in supporting, in facing the problems. But he doesn't speak only about religious faith. He speaks about the communists in Auschwitz, because they believed strongly in the ideal of the communist world. They also did better at that. So I'm not. When I get depressed, I don't find a help. I cannot pray to find help, because I don't believe that. But as I said, I really sometimes I believe that the existence of the world, of the universe, of life, is mystical in a way, like Wittgenstein said. On the other hand, my relationship with the institutional church doesn't exist at all. I didn't even baptize my second child. I don't want to have anything to do with the Romanian Orthodox Church, with the institution. I never get into a church. I respect everybody who has a faith and who believes in it. There's no question about that. I respect all the faith which doesn't break my rights, as we spoke before. I respect their rights to believe and to pray and to do whatever they want, and I want them to respect my right not to believe and not to pray, and to have the life according to the society and to the community, and not to the religious texts which don't belong to me, because I'm a non-believer. But my problem with the institution of Orthodox Church is really the fact that it was a church that was always connected with the state in one way or another. Even in the worst moments of our history, it was a church closer to the fascist regime. It was a church closer and taking part in a way, taking part in the symbolically in the extermination of the Roma people and of the Jewish people, because they didn't do nothing. They were always together like that with Marshal Antonescu, the leader of the fascist Romania. They were together with the communist regime even, and now they are closer to any political party which is at the power and wants to use them and to collaborate with them in order to secure the votes from the rural area, and not only, and for that they pay enormous amount of money to the church. So I really believe in the separation of the state from the church, and I think this is the good thing of the democracy and of the liberal society. And now, starting with the French Revolution, this idea is more and more important, I think. And I see in our society a pressure that the church is more and more a political force. For instance, I take a small thing just to say there is religious teaching in school, right? It's a religious class from the first year in school until to the high school or even later. And this is not formally mandatory. You can let your kid go, or you can opt for the kid not to go to the religion school. And the religion means very dogmatic religion. It's not history of religions or the presentation of the religion. It's very, very heavily dogmatic. And if you want not to let the kid go to the school, so you can do it. But it always, in all the cases I know, this religion hour is always in the middle of the school schedule. So if I want not to let the kid go, I have to go at 10 o'clock at the school, take him home for 1 hour, and then put him back, which is, of course, impossible for somebody who has an active professional life. So in a way, it is a mandatory class, and I really think it's completely ridiculous. I mean, for 12 years or 8 years or 10 years, you study 1 hour a week the dogma of Orthodox church. It's why not? Okay, do it 1 year, and then the next year let's make 1 hour of cinema or 1 hour of photography, or 1 class of I don't know, creative writing, or 1 class of going out in the nature, or you see, astronomy. I don't know, and I can go on forever like that.
Okay. You in that short film, you said that your style is like close to Bucharest's architectural style, which is quite complex. And how do you find the language of your movies?
You are kind when you name the style complex, the architectural style of Bucharest, because it's awful. Bucharest is a city with where every mayor, we have hopes for the new mayor, but until now, every mayor who was destroyed, Ceausescu destroyed it first. Then the neoliberal and the free market, the bad understanding of a free market, and the corruption and the incompetence of the administration destroyed even more. But what I meant by that was the fact that I believe I was someone who, like many filmmakers, starting with Robert Bresson, maybe, or even before that with somebody like, I don't know, Karl Dreyer, others tried to find a kind of purity of cinema language, of finding a way of finding out what cinema is, what cinema language is, and to use that in a very pure style, in a pure way, not to mix cinema with literature, painting, photography, other arts, but to make it as cinematic as possible, to make a film as cinematic as possible. And of course, it's a wonderful direction and a great idea. And but on the other hand, I discovered that I'm not only that I'm not able to do that very well, I don't go that far in that direction, but that my desire, my taste is in mixing things more, but finding a form, because I'm interested in form very much. I think what I forgot to do when we mentioned history is the fact that I wouldn't make films about a topic or another if I wouldn't find a form for it, if I wouldn't find a specific way that cinema can bring something new to the discussion. So keeping that in mind, I'm thinking that I'd like to invite other things from other disciplines, from other arts, from literature, from history, from philosophy, photography, I don't know, you name it, music, to be a part and to become cinema, which is something, of course, that goes against the purity of cinema, of cinematic language in a way. But in the other way, I think it's related to the modernist ideas from literature, you know, in the 30s. If you read John Dos Passos novel, like the trilogy of the USA, you can find there not a pure literary language, but also it's literature, but it's journalist, it's poetry. Sometimes it's a lot of archive things, like quotes from newspaper, the news, which are put in the novel. And I really believe in this more in montage as an epistemological tool, more than, or not more in my case, I'm more attracted to use this collage style, this montage style, than the purity of the film language.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time and for accepting this conversation and to be part of the jury.
Thank you. I still have a lot to see. So the meeting will be, well, we'll talk about it.